Topic for today is about operating system. That is week number 1. So actually in this lesson, you will learn about the features and functions of modern operating systems, and you will also learn how to start a computer and how to access various features of the operating system. So this will be the lesson objectives. Upon completion of this lesson, you will be familiar with the functions of an operating system and popular desktop operating systems and updates, a user accounts and profiles, power on and power off, procedures and power option, using the start button, navigating the Windows desktop and using the taskbar, assessing the setting up, control panel, customizing the Windows desktop, and the features of mobile operating system. So throughout this course, you will learn about using computers as I mentioned. Because a computer is essentially a collection of electrical and mechanical parts referred to as hardware. Each hardware part performs its own functions, and in order to all the parts to work together, they must be able to communicate. Instead of communicating directly with one another, the various components communicate via an operating system. The operating system is a computer program, of course. A program is a sequence of instructions that guides the computer through the performance of a specific task or sequence of tasks. The term software refers to any program that makes a computer run, including operating systems and application program. We need to take note that software developers write source code for their program in a human-readable format in order to prepare a program to be installed and used on a computer. The source code is converted into an executable format through a process called compiling, because compiling changes source code into machine code, and every computer requires an operating system in order to function. Think of an operating system as the central manager of communication, coordination, and control. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we have application programs. Allow you to be productive, to create documents or complete specific tasks such as creating a budget, removing red eye from a photograph, searching the internet, or scheduling a meeting. An application programs use the operating system to control the hardware functions of the computer, and you as a computer user interact with the operating system whenever you log on to the computer or type on the keyboard, tap on a touchscreen, or use an application program such as an email program or a word processor. So, therefore, the operating system, as I mentioned, it can manage hardware devices, controls communication among hardware devices, it controls communication between application programs and hardware devices, and it manages files stored on the computer. As what we have here, based on what we have here, given a diagram, or figure. So as you can see here, the operating system and the application program interacts with one another. So therefore, operating system is an intermediary between user and a computer. And of course, as you work in application program, the program interacts with the operating system behind the scenes. And the operating system manages hardware devices, again, control communication among hardware devices, control communication between application programs and hardware devices, and manage files stored in the computer. The evolution of the modern operating system interfaces, no, since the early days of personal computing, operating systems have evolved from simple monochrome text screens to full color point and click or tap interfaces. An interfaces is a point where two systems, either people, networks, and devices, meet and exchange information. Of course, anytime you use a computer, join a network, or plug in a device, you communicate with it through an interface. And today's modern operating system communicate with you through a graphical user interface, or the GUI or GUI. A GUI lets you use menus and clickable buttons or icons to start programs, move files, or perform other tasks. And this makes it easy for users to work with the operating system and get things done. So, we have the proprietary and open source operating system because software is sold and or distributed with a particular type of software license. When you purchase a program, you are purchasing the right to use it. The ways in which you can legally use it are defined by the license that comes with it. When we say proprietary software, it is most commercial software programs are proprietary. That is, they are owned by an individual or a company, and usually the person or company that created it. The ways in which you can legally use it, of course, is to buy it. Now, the owner also controls how the software can be used, if and how the source code can be inspected and or modified, and under which conditions, if any, it can be redistributed. Additional Additionally, most commercial software is closed source. The software is released only in a compiled form and the source code is not released to or made available. And however, sometimes vendors will release section of the source code to third party developers who created enhancement routines or add-ons. When you install software, you must agree to the terms of the end user's license agreement or yung EULA. Again, EULA stands for End User License Agreement. In most cases, the license agreement is quite restrictive. For example, the license determines the number of system on which you can install the software, and it is usually prohibits you from copying and distributing the software to other users. You are also restricted from attempting to decompile or reverse engineer the code back into a human readable format. You are restricted from making changes of many kind to the software. And all versions, including mobile version and edition of Windows, Mac OS X, and Unix are proprietary. Now, a while ago we have proprietary software, but of course we have an open source software. In contrast to the restrictive licensing terms of proprietary softwares or programs, an open source software license makes the source code of the software freely available. Users are permitted to study, change, and distribute the software to anyone for any purpose. Most open source software is distributed freely without change or charge. Although open source software does not necessarily need to be free, it is considered open source because the source code is freely available. Like Linux, FreeBSD, OpenBSD, and React OS are example of an open source operating systems. Again, the licensed software is the proprietary software, and for the free software, we have open source software or the pre-operating system. Now, desktop operating system is one, uh, actually there are many types of operating systems in wide use today because there are many types of devices. In this discussion, you will focus on desktop operating systems and mobile operating system. A desktop operating system is one that is used on desktop and laptop computers. A desktop operating system is large and robust program. It offers many features and provides a great deal of power and control over how the computer runs. An operating system version refers to the specific code base that was used to develop the operating system. And the desktop is the central place from which a user interacts with the computer. Actually, operating systems are released in various versions and editions. An operating system's version refers to the specific code base that was used to develop the operating system. So for example, as what we have here, a Windows 7. And of course, we have Windows 8, are different version of the Windows operating system. An operating system edition determines which features are available. So for example, various versions of the Windows operating systems are released in varying editions such as a home, professional, or enterprise. And today, you can choose from several operating systems. You might like Windows, while your friends preferred Mac OS X, and your teachers or colleagues likes Linux. Almost all operating systems include a desktop, which is the screen that opens once you log on and are ready to begin working. Because operating system desktop usually include colorful backgrounds, icons, or buttons for accessing commands, and the status bar to show which programs are open and running. And the desktop is the central place from which a user interacts with the computer. And again, some of the most popular operating systems include Windows operating system are designed by Microsoft. Recent version are Windows 10. They have Windows 8, of course, Windows 7. The Windows 8 and Windows 7 desktop are shown as what we have here. Okay? This will be the Windows 8 as I mentioned. So maybe you will distinguish on how to differentiate the Windows 7 to Windows 8. Then at present, the Microsoft are now released and use Microsoft Windows 10. This will be an example of the Mac OS X by version 10.9 or the Maverick version for Mac or Apple. So with Mac, okay, we have 10.9 Maverick, 10.10 Yosemite, and version 10.11 El Captain. This will be the version 10.10 of Mac OS, and this is the version 10.11. Now, at present also, they release already the 10.14, that is Mojave. A while ago, we discussed about Windows and Mac OS, and that is not for free. That is also proprietary. Now, if you're looking forward for a free operating system, we have Linux. Again, Linux is for free and open source operating system. You can find Linux installed on supercomputers such as those used by Google and NASA, but it is also installed on millions of home and business computers because anyone who uses Linux can modify it. It is very popular with programmers. The version of Linux are called distribution or distros for short. Some popular distros are Nopix, Ubuntu, Gen 2. I will show you the by the way, as I mentioned earlier, the Unix was one of the earliest operating systems and was first designed for use on large mainframe computers and servers. Modern versions are available for desktop systems and include a GUI. However, the GUI is separate from the operating system. And the common operating system features, of course, number one is the user accounts. In addition to managing communications devices and file storage, operating systems keeps track of who is using the computer, and this is accomplished through user account. You can think of an account as a special area on the computer where you can work and keep your files separate from other users. So for example, an entire family can share a Windows PC and each family member would have a distinct account with his or her own username, password, and account settings. An account name and usually a password is associated with each account before you can run programs, open files, or use the computer to accomplish any type of work. And you must log on using a valid user account. When you first power on a Windows computer, one of two things can happen. Again, when you first power on a Windows computer, one of two things can happen. Number one, if you are the only user on the computer and your user account does not require a password, then you will be automatically logged on to your account and the desktop appears. But if you are using a computer on which multiple user accounts have been set up, or if your user account requires a password, then Windows display an icon and account name and you must log on to your account by clicking your account icon and entering a password. Now, account types. Operating system allow for the creation of different types of user accounts. In Windows, there are two readily available account types. Number one, standard user accounts and administrator accounts. An administrator account, it enables it enables you to change or to make changes to the system that will affect the user or other users, because administrators can change security settings, install and uninstall software and hardware, and can create or make changes to the user accounts on the system. The standard user account enables you to use most of the capabilities of the computer. You can use most programs that are installed on the computer and change settings that affect your user account. However, you can't install or uninstall some software and hardware, and you can't delete files that are required for the computer to work. You can't access the other user's files stored on the computer, and you can change settings that affect other users or the security of the computer. Again, each type of account has a specific level of permission associated with it. Permissions are rules associated with objects on a computer, such as files, folders, and settings. Permissions determine whether you can access an object and what you can do with it. Everyone has permission to read, write, like create, edit, view, or print files for their own account. However, only someone with administrator account can see all files created by other users on the system. An administrator account is created automatically when Windows is installed on a computer. If you are using your own computer, the account you create the first time you start up your computer is an administrator account, and you can then create additional administrator and a standard user accounts. If you use a computer at your school or office, the system administrator will likely have already created an account for you, and your account may be an administrator account or a standard user account. We need to take note that computers you use in school, library, or workplace are usually part of a computer domain. A domain is a network of computer systems that are controlled by a network administrator. Your ability to perform certain tasks, such as installing software, changing your password, or installing updates on a domain system, can be tightly controlled by the administrator, regardless of your account type. The account option, of course, it is considered best practice to protect your computer in documents if you are going to be away from the system for any length of time. Two recommended practices are signing out of your account or locking your computer whenever you are away, so that other people passing by cannot see or access any of your files. You can perform either of these tasks by clicking your user icon in the start menu and then selecting the desired option. Either change account setting, lock, or sign out. If you select lock, Windows display an image on the monitor and you must enter the logon password before you can resume working. If you choose locking the system is different than logging off, signing out. When you lock the system, all your programs and files remain open and ready, so you can resume working quickly. If you select sign out, all your programs and files are closed and you return to the Windows logs on screen. How about the user files or profiles? Each account or each user account is associated with a profile. A profile is a collection of settings that make the computer look and functions in a particular manner. A profile includes settings for elements such as desktop background, lock screen, screensaver, pointer preferences, date and format, and so on. When you log on to a user account, the settings in the associated profile are loaded and affect what is displayed on the desktop. When you make customization, such as changing the desktop background or applying a sound scheme, those changes are saved in your profile so that the next time you log on to your account, all of your customizations are in effect. You will customize your profile later in our discussion. In built-in power of procedures, powering on and powering off a computer are two different processes. When you first power on or start the computer, you press the power button. Do not use start the computer, instead power on, switch on the computer. You press the power button. The computer runs a set of self-diagnostic programs to ensure that critical hardware is working properly. And then it loads the operating systems into memory. Once the operating system is loaded, you are either logged on to your account automatically or you log on manually. Although, you simply press the power button to turn the system on. You should never simply press the power button to turn the system off. You should always use the operating system's power off or shutdown option. This option ensures that any changes you have made to the system are properly saved and that any temporary files which are no longer needed are deleted. Starting a Windows computer. On many desktop computers, the power switch is located at the front or top of the system case. The most commonly used icon for a power button is the circle with that at the top. Do not try to fill the power button the first time you want to start the computer. Locate it visually. Turn on devices that are connected to the computer such as the monitor, speakers, and printer first. Press the power button on the computer to turn it on. The computer performs a startup test and then loads the operating system files into memory, and this process is also referred to as booting. Okay. When the operating system is loaded, Windows will display either a welcome screen followed by the desktop or a log on screen from which you must select your account and perhaps enter your password. After you log on to your account, the desktop display. Powering off a Windows computer. When you are done working, you should save your work, close any open programs, and then power off the system. Now, each operating system includes built-in power off procedures which you should use to ensure that files and programs are closed and that internal services are properly exited before the electrical power is cut off. In Windows 10, various options are presented in the power menu. So we have sleep, shut down, restart, available in the power button. In the Linux, of course, the power off options are name, halt, power off, reboot, and shutdown. In Mac OS X, the options are named sleep, restart, and shutdown. Okay, again, in Microsoft Word or in Microsoft operating system, I mean, uh, they use sleep, shutdown, and restart. For Linux, they use halt, power off, reboot, and shutdown. In Mac OS X, they use sleep, restart, and shutdown. Understanding Windows power option. Power option affect the way your computer uses energy because we are often called away from our computers for various periods of time which fall inside our regular working hours. Most operating systems provide options for reducing the amount of power the system uses. For example, if you take an hour for lunch, you can use one of the power option on your computer to conserve power without having to shut the system off. Reducing power consumption is good for the environment and it prolongs battery life of a system that is running on battery power. For Windows 10, several power options from which to choose. These options include, as I mentioned earlier, sleep. Clicking sleep leaves the computer on but puts it into a mode where it uses less power than when it is awake. The screen turns off and often the computer fan stops. Windows puts your work into memory. Sleep mode is similar to pausing a DVD movie. It is useful when you won't be using your computer for a short period of time. When you wake the computer, the screen will look exactly as it did when you put the system to sleep. On some systems, you can wake the computer by moving the mouse or pressing a key on the keyboard. On others, you must press the power button on a desktop computer. The sleep command may be listed as standby. Again, when you wake the computer, the screen will look like exactly as it did when you put the system to sleep. On some system, you can wake the computer by moving the mouse or pressing a key on the keyboard. In some others, you must press the power button on a desktop computer. The sleep command may be listed as standby. Hibernate. This option is found on laptops only. When you click Hibernate, the computer writes your open files and programs to a storage location and then turns off the system. Hibernate mode uses no power. Hibernate mode is useful if you will not be using your laptop for an extended period of time, but you do not want to close your documents. When you press the power button on the laptop in hibernation, the system starts back up and puts your files and programs back into memory. You can start working again right where you left off. By default, the hibernate option does not appear in the power menu, but you can customize the operating system to include this option. Shutdown. The computer closes all programs or files, closes the operating system, and turns off the power. For restart, Windows closes all open files and programs, exits the operating system, and restart the computer without turning off the power. Sometimes, when a computer starts to behave strangely or seems to get lost or stuck, restarting it will make it run properly again. Restarting clears the memory and reloads the operating system, but does not cause the computer to perform the startup test again. Looking at the Windows 10 desktop, the Windows desktop is the main screen on which the program windows, icons, menus, and dialog boxes appear. Your Windows 10 desktop should look similar to the following screen as we presented. You will notice several objects or icons on the desktop, and these vary from one system to another, depending on how the computer is configured. The desktop includes several types of objects that you use to move around and get work done. So as what we have here, we have desktop icon. The shortcuts you can click to open frequently used programs, folders, or files. I have the mouse pointer here, so as you can see here, the arrow that follows the movement of the mouse or touchpad and highlights icon on the screen when you point to them. We have the start button here. Click to start programs, open documents, find items on your computers, and get help. You also use the start button to power down the system. And we have taskbar. The long horizontal bar at the bottom, this side, no? of the screen that includes three main sections: the Start button, the Search box, the middle section which displays the buttons for one open programs and files, and the notification area which include a clock and icons. So at this part, no, that communicate the status of certain programs and settings. The taskbar is an integral part of Windows multitasking features. The search box Cortana. Just to the right of the Start button is the search box. Click in the search box and begin typing. When you first use Windows 10, the search box may display a circle icon and the text Ask Me Anything. These elements are part of Cortana, the Windows 10 personal assistant. If you click in the box, the Cortana features will open for initial setup. To use Cortana, you must sign into the system with a personal Microsoft account. You can configure several commonly accessed settings through the Windows 10 setting app. Click Start, and then Setting to open the main windows to the setting app. From this window, you can browse the categories or use the search box at the upper right corner to find what you are looking for, including advanced options on specific pages in the control. The control panel. The control panel is the area in which Windows where you can access features to customize settings for devices on your system. And you can access the control panel by type in search box the word control panel and it will display. Okay, then we have the Windows control panel. The default view for control panel topics is category view. The system and security, it provide option for firewall settings, power option, and file history backup. For the network and internet, if you set up or modify how your system connects to a network or in the internet, and to share files with others. So if you want to use, for example, a direct line or a Wi-Fi and so on. For hardware and sound, set up or modify devices such as printers, speakers, and monitors. So especially if you're using a speaker, no? If you are using as printers and any other devices connected to your computer. Programs. It provides access to system management tasks such as installing and uninstalling programs. So for example, previously you installed this software but right after 5 months or 5 years you want to change or you just try to uninstall. So try to look for a programs under the Windows control panel. Then user account. Provide option for setting the computer up to be used by more than one person. And for appearance and personalization, customize your screen with screensavers, desktop backgrounds, and so on. Clock, language, and region. If you want to change, of course, the format of the dates, times, currency, or numbers, or reflect regional standards or languages, you just try to look with clock, language, and region under the control panel. And ease of access. It provides option for changing accessibility specifications such as turning on voice recognition or altering visual displays. Now, we have mobile operating system. Smartphones and some tablets use mobile operating system. Mobile operating systems are optimized for touchscreens technology, small screen size, fast file transfer, and accessing cellular networks. Even though they run on small devices and are streamlined so that they do not use excessive battery power or system resources. They can accomplish an amazing array of tasks including phone calling, video calling, streaming audio and video, internet browsing, texting, connecting to Wi-Fi, and pairing with Bluetooth devices, and some of the most widely installed mobile operating system are Android devices. Android operating system is from Google. It's based on the Linux and it's open source. Android releases are named for sweet confections. For example, version 4.3 is Jelly Bean, 4.4 is Kit Kat, 5.x is Lollipop, and 6.x is Marshmallow. Releases prior to 2.0 were used exclusively on mobile phones. Android 2X releases are used on phones and some tablets. Android version 3.0 is used on tablets only. At the time of this discussion, the current version before is the 6.0. It has the largest installed base in the world and runs on phones manufactured by wide variety of vendors including Samsung, HTC, Google, Sony, Motorola, and LG. Another is iOS, previously known as iPhone OS. Of course, it is from Apple. It is closed source and proprietary and is derived from OS X. The Apple iPhone, iPad Touch, iPad, and second generation Apple TV all uses iOS. The more recent version allowed the installation of third-party applications. In previous version, you had to jailbreak your phone in order to install third-party apps. iOS smartphones are developed by Apple and manufactured primarily by Apple partners such as Foxconn. Windows 10 Mobile, or formerly called Windows Phone. It is also owned by Microsoft. It is closed source and proprietary, and it is integrated with Microsoft services such as OneDrive and Office, Xbox Music, Xbox Video, Xbox Live, and Bing. It is also integrated with non-Microsoft services such as Facebook and Google accounts. Most Windows Phone devices are made by Nokia, HTC, and Samsung. We have also the BlackBerry 10. It is from BlackBerry and is closed source and proprietary. It runs only on phones and tablets manufactured by BlackBerry. The touchscreen navigation on mobile OS. Various phones in mobile operating systems recognize specific action and gesture for navigating and performing tasks on a touchscreen. Generally, you can use the following motions and gestures to interact with a smartphone or tablet. Of course, tap. Lightly tap items with your fingertip. Tap keys on the on-screen keyboard to enter characters and text. Tap an item to select it. Tap an app icon to launch an application. We have, of course, touch and hold. Or touch an item with your finger and maintain contact. Touch and hold a widget to move. Touch and hold a field to display a pop-up menu of options. And we have, of course, swipe. Swipe or slide. Slightly drag your finger vertically or horizontally across the screen. Swipe the screen to unlock a device. Swipe the screen to scroll through home screen options or menu options. And we have drag. No? Drag, touch, and hold on the item and then move it to a new location. Drag a shortcut to add it on to a home screen. Drag a widget to place it in a new location on a home screen. And pinch. Pinch and spread. Pinch the screen using your thumb and forefinger or spread by moving your fingers apart. Pinch or spread to zoom in or out while viewing a picture or a web page. Pinch or spread to zoom in or out while taking a picture. To turn on a smartphone or tablet, press and hold the power button until the device starts up. On most phones, the power key is also the lock key and you can press it to lock the device. In the power on and off, the first time you turn on your device, a welcome screen display and you are guided through the basic steps required to set up your phone, such as choosing a default language, connecting to a Wi-Fi network, setting up accounts associated with the device, and so on. To turn the phone off, press and hold the power lock button until the device options menu display. Then tap the power off option. The figure to the, of course, show that on and off of an Android phone. The option menu allows you to put the device into one of several modes. You can turn the phones off, restart it, put it into airplane mode. In this mode, the phone disconnects from all networks and turns off features from phone calling and Wi-Fi access. Or put it into emergency mode, and this mode is designed to conserve battery power by disabling apps and functions that use a lot of power. However, you can still send messages, use contacts, and make emergency calls for an emergency mode. Again, we have power off, airplane mode, restart, and emergency mode for power on and off. Mobile operating system on the smartphones and tablets typically use a gesture-based lock screen. A lock screen on a mobile device is similar to the lock screen in Windows. This screen displays until the user performs the required gesture or enters the correct information, similar to entering your account password in Windows. The following feature shows an Android lock screen. Notice that there are no shortcut icons displayed on the lock screen. You must unlock it before you can access any of the device's features. Lock screen protect your devices from unintended access. That is, you can accidentally launch an application or make a call while the phone is in your pocket or purse. And can also protect your phone from illicit access by others. Until you unlock the phone, there is very little you can do with it. By default, most phones lock automatically when the screen times out. You can also manually lock your phone at any time by pressing the power or lock key. Generally, a mobile operating system can use the following lock screen types. Number 1 is swipe. Unlock the phone by swiping the screen. This option provides no security. Pattern. You create a pattern by dragging your finger across a grid of dots and you re-enter that pattern to unlock the phone. This is considered a medium level security setting. The next, of course, is the PIN. Set and enter the personal identification number or PIN of at least 4 digits. This option provides medium to high security. But at present, we have up to 6 digits already. Password. You can create password for unlocking the screen, and this option provides high security. Fingerprint. You can use fingerprint recognition to unlock the screen, and this option provides medium to high security. And of course, at present, we have now the face recognition. You will be able to use your face to unlock in your devices. None. You can set your phone to never use a lock screen. If you choose one of the secure lock screen options, you can also specify whether to show or hide content and notification on the lock screen. It is always a good practice to lock your phone. Smartphones often contain a lot of private information, such as account number and electronic ID cards and more. Locking the phone can help prevent illicit use even if your phone is stolen. Instead of featuring a desktop as the place from which to launch program and perform other tasks, mobile operating systems are designed around the home screen. And some mobile operating systems refer to the home screen as the start screen. The home screen display links or shortcuts in the form of icons or buttons to application, setting features, and notification, and generally display as much status information as possible within a very small space. Home screen differ from one mobile operating system to the next, but for the most part of the home screen consists of a grid of shortcuts that can be arranged over multiple pages. And the following figure shows the home screen on an Android phone. So we have notification icons, status bar, widget, app shortcuts, home screen indicator, dock, app screen, and app folders. The home screen shown in preceding figure includes the following features. The notification icons, it displays new messages in emails, notification, information about available software updates, and so on. For status icons, display information about the state of the phone hardware, including signal strength, battery level, the current time, and so on. The status bar is the bar across the top of the phone that display the status icons on the right side and notification icons on the left side. We have app shortcuts. Shortcuts to installed apps. Tap once to launch the application or app. App folder. Several apps can be grouped into a folder. We have widget. It is self-contained application, not a shortcut, that runs on the home screen. There are widgets for clock, calendars, internet bookmarks, stock prices, weather, and even those that display the number of unread messages in your email boxes. Home screen indicator. Indicator which home screen is currently displayed. In the preceding figure, there are three home screen pages, indicated by the three icons. The first home screen page is currently displayed. You can tap an indicator icon to move to the home screen page or swipe left or right to access the various home screen pages. We have dock, an area along the bottom edge of the screen. In the figure, the dock contains icons for phones, contacts, Chrome messages, and apps, which display on all home screen pages. And we have app screen, an area along the bottom edge of the screen. In the figure, the dock contains icons for phone, contacts, Chrome messages, and apps, which display all the home screen pages. The home screen is highly customizable. You can add wallpapers, apply themes and apps and widgets, and create folders after the display of the date and time, and so on.